Hey everybody, welcome back to Integrative Psychonautics. My name is Dave, and as always, we talk on this channel about psychedelics and personal development, personal healing, personal transformation, growth, these kinds of things. And today I wanted to talk about a topic that has been kind of stewing in the back of my mind for a while that I think is really worth kind of putting out there and kind of highlighting, something that I don't see spoken about a lot when it comes to psychedelic experiences. And really what there is to learn about our own healing and our own capacity and our own growth in the nervous system, as discovered via the psychedelic experience. So here's what I want to talk about. Basically, psychedelics deliver us two very kind of polar almost experiences that are both very common and relatively distinct to psychedelics. And that would be an experience of profound vulnerability. And then at the same time, an experience of profound kind of superhuman feelings, right? Not that we actually are superhuman, but we get these feelings of robust well-being, strength, power, optimism, courage, boldness, curiosity, these feelings of feeling profoundly, deeply resourced inside our nervous system. And I wanted to bring this up because I don't think that it's really a coincidence that psychedelics deliver both of these experiences. And I think that it's a profound teaching in and of itself to understand that these are probably connected as human beings. See, so often when people come to me as a coach and they want to do some sort of healing or change work, one of the major fears that most of us have, and one of the major fears that we stumble with, especially early on with psychedelics, is feeling too vulnerable, feeling overloaded, feeling too sensitive, feeling heightened, stimulated, frightened, especially if, we're coming from a background of whether it's an obvious trauma or maybe a more subtle kind of developmental trauma, attachment trauma kind of thing. We often are kind of coming from this loaded plate of already having kind of a nervous system that's kind of primed for fear, for anxiety, for overload, for overwhelm. And then a lot of times we're going to psychedelics for healing. And one of the kind of conflicts or struggles we have is, God, am I going to experience more of this? Am I going to experience more overwhelm, more fear, more terror, more overload? Am I going to have the classic bad trip or paranoid trip? And it's pretty common. In fact, it's a standard piece that I share with people to kind of think of the vulnerability aspect of psychedelics as being more extreme than you anticipate it's going to be, because it could very well be very extreme. And that often, I think a good way to kind of think about the vulnerability side of it is not unlike a caterpillar turning into a butterfly, where there's this experience where they kind of build a cocoon. And then while they're in the cocoon or the chrysalis, as far as I understand, I may have this kind of wrong, they actually melt down their entire body into a liquid. So their entire physical form melts into a liquid. But somehow in their biological structure, in their DNA, if you will, they have some sort of a chemical or a code in the DNA that has the blueprint for the butterfly or the moth that they'll become. And so there's this process of melting down and being totally at their most vulnerable as this liquid, and then reforming themselves into something new. And I think for me, that's a really nice way to describe the kind of vulnerability with like a deep psychedelic experience. You may melt down into a totally non-functional, highly sensitive, highly vulnerable kind of fluid state inside of yourself. The other side of the coin, though, with psychedelics is sometimes once we've kind of had a healing or transformation or something's kind of snapped into place energetically or psychologically or emotionally for us, we can feel profoundly powerful. We can feel robust with energy, with clarity, with sharpness of our senses, with optimism in our heart, with love for life, with curiosity, and we become childlike in the best sense of what it means to be a child, full of energy, full of exuberance and vitality and life force and passion and joy and playfulness and optimism and willingness to try new things and do new things and push our own edge and grow and evolve and challenge ourselves and to do something big, right? To have vision. And I really do think that understanding the connection between these two is incredibly important to your healing. I think that when we're vulnerable, when we're sensitive, rather, and vulnerability and sensitivity have overlap, but they're not exactly the same thing, right? When we are in a sensitive state, we're actually taking in more information. So if we're not in fearful reaction and avoidance to that sensitivity, and we can kind of pace ourselves, regulate ourselves, stay present with the sensitivity, there's a lot more information that's coming into our nervous system in that moment. There's a lot more perception. There's a lot more feeling and understanding. And there's a lot there that we have available to us that can become the fuel to feel empowered. And so I would offer to you that as, let's say you kind of like lift the dull, heavy, repressing veil of default consciousness off of yourself for a bit, and all of a sudden the weight of all the kind of dullness and contraction and heaviness and, focus and survival mode and all that kind of lifts off you for a minute. There's this interesting process of first feeling really overwhelmed and sensitive because all this new information is coming in. Then as you acclimate to that information, it's like you become just so much more powerful and capable. And I think this is true in life. And I think this is something you want to start to consider, that your healing path is probably deeply connected to your capacity to feel, to be more highly attuned, to be more highly sensitive. I think your ability to, it's like a balance between being grounded and being tapped into information. I will say I've seen a lot of people kind of on the kind of more new age end of the psychedelic community who get a little carried away with being tapped into information and then, and sometimes get a little overreactive. They're too sensitive to everything. And I would say that that's probably out of balance, that what you want to be is this nice sweet spot of grounded and sensitive. But I think that those really go well together, that if you're allowing that sensitivity to inform you and inform your own capacities and your own capabilities and kind of revitalize you, then what you're going to ultimately arrive at is some form of empowerment, some form of higher function, some form of being sharper, of being more on point, of being more intuitive, of being more cognitively present, of being more centered, of being more resourced in terms of connected to maybe all of life and the universe around you and feeling your centered, grounded place within the cosmos, this kind of a thing. And so I just want to encourage you, if you're one of these people who is maybe exploring psychedelics and struggles with feeling overloaded and oversensitive, or you're afraid that that's going to be your experience, or, or maybe you're one of these people who, you're struggling to feel, maybe you're a little numb, you're a little kind of understimulated and you're afraid to feel, but you need to feel more because you're not feeling life. I want to just kind of plant this seed in your awareness that perhaps there's a connection between sensitivity and empowerment, between awareness, and feeling, between discovering your own capacities and allowing yourself to be vulnerable enough for that information to even come into your conscious awareness in the first place, right? If you're blocking out most of the information that your body's presenting you with, part of what you're going to be blocking out is your own capacities, is your own strengths, your own capabilities, your own intuitions, your own inner knowing, your own guidance system, your own, subtle pieces of joy, or, what might be leading you towards joy, or inner knowings you have, or inner abilities that you haven't even tapped into, that you don't even know you have, but are waiting to be tapped into. All of that is there on the other side of not suppressing so much in your nervous system. So I guess I just kind of want to put that out there and see what you guys think about it, see if that lands, see if that resonates for you. because in general, I feel like this is, again, something that doesn't get talked about a lot, is really important to understand, is kind of unique to psychedelic work, although, again, I think is a truism beyond psychedelic work. And I think it kind of falls under this larger category of conversation I want to start having more on the channel here with you guys about developing internal resources and feeling resourced and using psychedelics as part of developing powerfully resourced states that you can draw upon for personal healing and personal transformation. So, I guess enough said for now. Let me know what you think about this idea. Please leave a comment down below, subscribe if you like this kind of content, because there will definitely be more of it coming. And I hope wherever you are, you're having a beautiful moment in time, day or night. If you're someone who celebrates the holidays, I wish you happy holidays, and I hope you're feeling healthy and happy and inspired. Much love.